In this video, you will discover what Gen Z wants to see on a website, 7 principles you can start applying today, no tools, no tutorials, just a real side-by-side comparison, breaking down aesthetics, copy, tone, layout, and vibe. So by the end, I hope you will know exactly what to change and how to do it. Let's go. Before we jump in, let me show you what we are working with. I designed 2 versions of a homepage for a fictional energy drink brand called Volt. Same product, same name, but one version is built for millennials and the other is built for a Gen Z. And the difference, as you can tell, is huge. On the left, clean, professional, trust-focused. On the right, dark, loud, and raw. We are going to go through each difference one by one. So by the end, you can take these ideas and apply them to your own website, no matter if it's a service page or an e-commerce shop. These explanations can be widely applied to any business. Let's start with the very first thing that people see. I want you to take a look at the millennial version of Volt. So the background is white, clean, bright, professional. This makes the website feel safe and familiar. Now let's take a look at the Gen Z version. The background is almost black, deep, dark, and it immediately feels different. The one color change alone signals this isn't your dad's energy drink, this belongs to us, to the Gen Z. So okay, wait, hold on. So why this works? It works because Gen Z grew up on a dark mode, and their phones, their apps, their games, all dark. That's why. And now you can look at the website's background color and instantly tell which audience is speaking to. Of course, this will not be applying to every design, to every website, but it's a good rule of thumb. That's a real superpower when you are building or redesigning a website for Gen Z in 2026. So now you know the vibe, let's talk about the very first design decision that creates it. The font. On the millennial side, the font is clean, bold, and rounded. The font, by the way, is Satoshi. It's professional, it's easy to read, it's sans serif. And the headline, energized and confident for your daily routine, is warm, positive, and structured. Now let's take a look at the Gen Z's font. The headline font is monospaced, meaning every letter takes up the same amount of space. It looks like a code, like a terminal screen, like something a hacker would use. It's raw and it feels unfinished on purpose, and that's exactly the whole point. Now let's take a look closely at the Gen Z headline. Zero crash, Volt mode on, healthy as F. It's in sentence case, not all caps, not all lowercase, just casual, and that healthy as F, that's intentional. So remember that fonts aren't just for decoration, they are personality, and Gen Z wants to see personality that matches theirs. So swap your font, change your vibe, and change your copy, which I will cover soon in this video in chapter 4. The millennial palette uses navy, blue, and white as the main colors with some red accents from the product. So it's bold but controlled, trustworthy, slightly corporate but in a good way. The Gen Z side, still using the products red and black, but the accent color that stands out is electric yellow-green. That call to action button, the buy it, it's neon yellow, so it almost hurts to look at, and that's the whole point. It pops against the dark background like a notification you can't ignore. So high contrast grabs attention. The key thing to remember is dark base plus neon accent plus high contrast equals a site that looks like it was made for the algorithm, not for the boardroom. For example, if you are selling skincare products and want to attract Gen Z customers, you don't necessarily need harsh dark theme. What you could use is a soft, almost transparent dark tones paired with an elegant typography for a premium feel. Alternatively, a deep emerald green can create a modern, sophisticated look, while still feeling fresh and relevant to a younger audience. The millennial homepage copy is benefit-focused and reassuring. A clean, clinically informed energy formula designed for your body. You know, no jitters, no sugar crash, no compromise on what you put inside. It addresses concerns, it's detailed, it builds trust through explanation. Now let's take a look at the Gen Z. Zero crash, Volt mode on, healthy as F. That's it. 3 short lines, no explanation, no reassurance. Gen Z doesn't need convincing. What they need is to feel something. They need either an authoritative icon to recommend the product or people their own age doing it. It's all about Reels and social media, which I will cover right now. Deeper down the Gen Z page, there's a section that says for the green, for the game, and in between. Then Volt doesn't care if your workout is a 12-hour raid or actual deadlift PR. Same clean lift, same zero crash, whatever your version of going hard looks like. That's not product copy, that's cultural identity writing. It's saying we see you, we understand you, and we are one of you. You need to know exactly who you are targeting, whether they are Gen Z gamers, Gen Z athletes, or Gen Z casual customers. Think about segments. If you want your product to be applied to Gen Z, then to who exactly? Even the social proof is written differently. Millennial reviews are proper sentences from named professionals. Sarah K, nutritionist, yoga mom. Gen Z social proof, it's a TikTok style captions. Same idea, prove that it works, but told in way different voice that audience actually use. So remember, short sentences, identity language, and social proof that sounds like friends text, not testimonial on a brochure. That's the key to attracting Gen Z to your website in 2026. The millennial layout follows classic Z pattern. Left text, right image, then full width video. That features section, then testimonials, then newsletter CTA. It's organized, it flows logically, and every section announces itself with a clear heading. Now, the Gen Z version is way different. Elements overlap, objects float on the top of the dark background at angles, text sits beside images instead, maybe above them, and it feels like a magazine spread or a hype poster, not a standard web page. Notice the big marquee text on the Gen Z version. Athletes, gamers, scrolling horizontally across the page, and it's borrowed from streetwear brands and music festival posters. It fills space while building identity, and it moves, which keeps the eye engaged. Millennial design use generous white space to let the content breathe, and the Gen Z design use tight layouts with visual tension. Elements close together, overlapping, almost uncomfortable. Keep in mind that layout isn't just about organizing content, it's about creating a feeling. Gen Z wants to feel tension, movement, and edge. Structure is for millennials, and control chaos is for Gen Z. The millennial version uses photos as aspirational, relatable people in everyday situations. A businessman drinking energy drink before a meeting, a guy gaming at home, a woman working out. Clean backgrounds, warm lighting, stock photo energy, but good stock photo energy. The Gen Z version used editorial style fashion shots. The people aren't doing anything, they are just existing, posing, looking at the camera or looking away. They are styled in futuristic streetwear. Think about Y2K, cyberpunk, all mixed together. This is how Gen Z brands shoot their campaigns. It looks less like an ad and more like a mood board. Here's the big one. On the Gen Z page, the bottom section used embed TikTok-style video clips from real creators with like counts, share icons, and usernames visible. The content of the site is social media content, and the line between the two is blurred on purpose. So Gen Z doesn't trust polished brand ads, they trust creators. So the design itself features creators. And remember that not just good photos, but the right kind of vibe. Gen Z want editorial and authentic over aspirational and stage photos. On the millennial side, the main button says buy it in navy peel button. Clean, friendly, avis. The navigation links say home, energy drinks, what's new, contact. Professional, functional, expected. On the Gen Z side, the button still says buy it, but in neon yellow. So all caps, and it feels more like a command than an invitation. The navigation, what's new, drinks, community, contact. And notice community. That's not just a link, it's actually a signal that there's a tribe to join. The Gen Z version has product selector titled Pick Your Charge, lowercase, monospace, casual. Compare that to the millennial section, which would say something like choose your flavor in a proper heading font. Same information, but completely different energy. Now, let's compare newsletter section. Millennial footer, get 20% off your first subscription. Clear value offer, clean input, subscribe button. The Gen Z footer, an email field with a join button. No discount promise, just belonging. And the copy says zero crash energy for gamers, athletes, and everyone running on borrowed time. That's not just a newsletter sign up, that's a membership application. So remember to write every single touch point on your site differently for Gen Z, from the main CTA to the footer. Small words, big difference. You don't have to do all of this at once. Pick one thing from the list, just one, and apply it to your website this week. Whether you are running a clothing brand, a coaching business, or a local shop, these principles work the same way. Gen Z doesn't care what industry you are in. They care how you make them feel. And here's the thing that nobody tells you. Don't try to sound like a lifeless business. Show your mistakes, show the mess behind the scenes, and show that there's a real human being behind the logo, not a corporate script. Gen Z has the most sensitive radar for detecting fakes on the planet. They have grown up watching brands try too hard, and they can smell it from a mile away. So be real, be specific, be a little imperfect, you know? That's not a weakness. That's your biggest competitive advantage with this generation. If you want me to review your website and give you specific feedback on how to target Gen Z, drop a comment below. I read every single one. I'm Igor from Galiki Digital. I'm based in Ireland, and I hope you learned something new today. I hope you will know exactly how to change or reposition your website or the whole brand to fit Gen Z's expectations. And if this video helped you, consider subscribing. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.